This is such a senseless incident that happened. The amount of delusion and brain rot and mind virus that a person would have to somehow be so upset with Charlie that they feel like they have to shoot him is mind blowing to me.
I guess it is true.
I'm telling you guys right now, and I don't know out of sheer emotions I'm saying this, but
he's one of the people that I'll watch.
Things are not going to be the same after this.
No, it's not going to be the same, and it shouldn't be.
And I don't know if the things are not going to be the same is positive. You know, I mean, I'm not going to say what I'm thinking, but we can't allow this to happen in America. We can't allow this to happen to conservatives, to a good man like Charlie.
Yeah, that's crazy. That happened to Charlie. That's crazy.
Charlie is literally one of the sole reasons that any of us have a platform. Probably why the country is conservative. You know, nobody's doing what Charlie is doing. Nobody had put in the effort when they were 17 years old to build Turning Point, biggest organization, conservative organization in the country, the most effective. I started with Charlie. Candace started with Charlie. There's nobody that's prominent that didn't start from something Charlie created. So, you know, we just got to keep praying for Charlie. I don't know, man. I'm not going to get on here and gaslight y'all. And a lot of y'all, you know, people are texting me and I haven't heard any good news. And I'm just being upfront. I pray to God that he, you know,
people are saying about
protect Charlie and save his life. Because he's a good man and it just don't make sense.
I hope he pulled through that.
You know,
he's not one of those people that deserve that
over nothing.
I don't think nobody deserve it, especially over nothing, like he said.
Over nothing.
That is crazy.
Over going on campus and telling the truth with facts and evidence.
We're Richard and Sherry Allen.
Somebody mad over nothing.
In today's video, we have breaking news, and it's tragic. Charlie Kirk has been shot at the Utah Valley University. Secondly, the criminal out of North Carolina.
I'm upset, y'all. I'm surprised I'm even be able to go live.
Let's see what the Vari is talking about over here. I'm going to pause.
Sent everybody home except my video.
He's far off into it. Let's see what the Vari has to say about it. The Vari is one of my favorite people to watch right now.
Spoke to his sister. In today's video, we have breaking news, and it's tragic. Charlie Kirk has been shot at the Utah Valley University. Secondly, the criminal out of North Carolina spoke to his sister. We have audio tape of him explaining why he did what he did. Finally, there's a new inflation report that shows positive news regarding the economy, and all of these stories will show you what both sides are saying and then give you the bottom line.
Counting or not counting gang violence?
Oh my God. Cody, go, run. Oh.
Okay, so what you just saw there was the crowd at Utah Valley University running after Charlie Kirk had been shot. People are saying he was shot in the neck based on the video footage. They have not actually identified the name of the shooter. I do have a clip to show you of a man who was apprehended at the scene, But first things first, please pray for the man, pray for his family. I truly believe he was doing great work, definitely had a huge impact on the younger generation, and that's what we need in this country. And so, I mean, that's all that could really be said as in regards to him, is just continue to pray for him and his family. Now, here's what the FBI did have to say. We're closely monitoring reports of the tragic shooting involving Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University. Our thoughts are with Charlie, his loved ones, and everyone affected. Agents will be on the scene quickly. And the FBI stands in full support of the ongoing response and investigation. And also the vice president said this, say a prayer for Charlie Kirk, a genuinely good guy and a young father. Now, here's that clip of the man who was arrested at the scene.
This is the guy that shot him?
Like, nobody's gonna remember your name. I don't know why people do stuff like this.
Not counting gang violence. Great.
All right, so we don't know the name of that individual yet.
looked.
We don't even know if he's the true shooter, but he was arrested at the scene.
No way, I didn't see that. Hold on, let's go back to this. That's wild. You got hit like that?
That's right, the main sign.
Not counting gang violence. Great.
That's crazy.
All right, so we don't know the name of that individual yet. We don't even know if he's the true shooter, but he was arrested at the scene. That has to be said. It's too early to know anything except that he was shot. Clearly, they probably took him to the hospital. Okay, obviously, and the whole university is on lockdown. The FBI is involved. As you guys can see, the president has weighed in. We must pray. We must all pray for Charlie Kirk, who's been shot. A great guy from top to bottom. God bless him. Now, this, regardless of the outcome, is again another example of how dangerous it is to go out there and tell the truth to people, regardless of what your beliefs are. Now, just when you think that in his darkest hour, people would put politics aside, not MSDNC. So not only did they suggest that it was a Trump supporter who did this, but they also go back to describing him as a divisive figure, etc. I'll just let you hear it for yourself. Take a look.
In which a shooting like this happens.
Yeah, and again, to emphasize what you just emphasized, we don't know any of the full details of this. That we don't know if this was a supporter shooting their gun off in celebration, or so we have no idea about.
Charlie Kirk is a divisive figure, polarizing, lightning rod, whatever term you want to use. Why?
Rebecca, what's going on, Levi?
Well, he's one of MAGA's most prominent voices online. He hosts a near daily podcast. He opines on almost everything. He's been very closely aligned with the president.
I know that's kind of gruesome to see, but that's a nasty hit to
And
take.
the whole universe.
That's wild. If he survives this, man, that's just God's hands on him. Really, that is crazy. He got hit nasty. I didn't realize it was like that.
Counting gang violence. Great.
All right, so we don't know the name of that individual yet. We don't even know if he's the
daily podcast. He opines on almost everything. He's been very closely aligned with the president since his initial run for office in 2015, 2016. And his ties to Trump really elevated his own brand. He was really quite young as an activist when the president launched his initial campaign. And he has kind of ridden along with MAGA since 2016 and built up a massive, massive brand of his own.
Yeah, you see, it's the language they use and the way they word things to minimize the impact of Charlie Kirk. There's no question he's had a positive impact on young adults. I think he's the person actually encouraging young adults to think for themselves, ask questions. Don't just take whatever your professor tells you as fact, because that's what we've been seeing in these universities, okay? And I'm not seeing people on the left actually do positive things for the young adults out there. And he has, and not many people can say that. Now, the disgusting coverage continues, and I kind of hate to actually show this, but I'm a believer in showing you both sides. MSDNC continues to suggest this idea that the Trump administration is now going to use this as a way to do something that they normally wouldn't do. Take a look.
As we were just talking about a moment ago with Alan, after one of the Doge employees was allegedly attacked in Washington, D.C., that's what Donald Trump used as justification to send in federal troops into Washington, D.C. to get things under control. The carjacking situation, he used that.
Out of control, man.
Charlie was going to be the president one
day. That's wild, bro. President. That's
go out there and meet voters and everybody else that runs for office. And we've seen what kind of violent world it has become in our country now when someone like Charlie Kirk is killed in cold blood on a college campus.
There's no question this will send shivers through the spines of many elected officials, many public figures.
That's crazy, man.
Because, you know, we're out giving speeches all the time. We're out interacting with voters all the time. I was just talking to someone on the floor who I had gone on the Trump bus tour with to Pennsylvania and Wisconsin and Ohio and Florida and North Carolina. And we were just saying how this could now happen at any moment in time. And Kelly O'Donnell was pointing out there have been some questions and concerns with members of Congress as well. About their safety and security, and these things are being reported now, but they're also, so many are not reported. The threats that these people receive. Again, no place for it. I would argue it's disgusting. It's completely against our Judeo-Christian founding, our civil society, our very American way of life. But at the same time, it's a reality at this point, and I hate that it is. So I think people out there are going to be quite concerned and maybe even reticent to get out on the political stage when it's meant for open, honest debate and not violence. But we've seen so much of this in recent years, including today, of course, and it's just got to stop.
Yeah.
It just has to stop.
Yeah, regardless of your political views, it is un-American. It has gotten too violent, and now someone has died. Hogan, we thank you for sharing your thoughts. I am so sorry for the loss of your friend. I do want to bring in our senior Washington correspondent, Hallie Jackson. Hallie, we cover politics day in, day out. Who's up, who's down. Something like this, it's just so terrible. Someone who is out there, who is passionate about one side and shot while just out there trying to practice freedom of speech, what we have in this country.
It is, I think, shocking and stunning, Tom, to so many people across the political spectrum. And it comes as we have seen an uptick and a growing concern about political violence in this country. If you look at simply what has happened just this summer alone, I know you've talked about the assassination attempts, obviously against current President Trump, of course, back when he was a former president running for office. But you look at just this summer, you had the CDC shooting, of course, that happened just last month. You had in June a Republican congressman, a former Trump staffer, in fact, says he was run off the road by somebody who threatened to kill him. You have, of course, the death of that Minnesota state lawmaker and her husband, along with the shooting of another lawmaker and his wife. In April, you had Governor Josh Shapiro and his family sleeping inside their home when it was set on fire at the governor's mansion in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. That is just the last couple of months, Tom, and you are seeing now from Republicans, from Democrats, a condemnation of political violence that defies the political spectrum here. And you are also seeing, I think, from so many people, Hogan spoke about this, how close Charlie Kirk was, how influential he was, not just as a so-called influencer or a conservative activist, but as a friend, as a confidant to so many people who have now in this second Trump term attained the highest levels of power in this country. Despite his age, just 31 years old, he had gotten close to so many, including the president's son. He was instrumental, of course, in being vocal in support of now Vice President J.D. Vance. And you are seeing this stunned reaction, Tom, across Democrats, across conservatives, to the death of Charlie Kirk, as we have learned tonight, from President Trump himself, Tom.
Yeah. Hallie Jackson, stand by for us. Joining us on the phone now is Taylor Dufour and Haley Birmingham. The married couple were at the event about 30 feet away from where Kirk was speaking. I know you guys join us now by phone here. I'm sorry that you guys had to witness that. Tell us what you remember seeing when you heard that first gunshot.
Hi, thank you.
And what's crazy, that's exactly what they plan to do to Charles.
I'm sorry, guys. Are you there? Taylor and Haley?
Yeah, we're here.
That's exactly what
we're here. Sorry.
Again, I don't know if you were able to hear me. Tell us what you remember seeing. Did you hear the gunshot?
Yeah, we did. We heard the gunshot and people just started dropping. And so my wife, my biggest concern was getting her down and laying on top of her. I looked over and saw him as he was falling out of his chair. And I saw the blood coming out of his neck. And it was just, people panicking, kind of chaos. But everybody worked together. Everybody kind of came together and was, what can we do to help everybody and get everyone safe?
Taylor, I don't know if you heard, but the president announced that Charlie Kirk has passed away. Knowing that you went there to see this event and then kind of witnessing that,
how do you get into
what are your thoughts tonight?
That like that with all
it's just sad, honestly.
And you can get up there,
it makes me very angry. I do get very angry about it, that somebody could have this much hate inside them as they want to take somebody out of this world. And, it's just sad as well because our world is so divided at the moment. And I feel like people just need to get along and, he was trying to help. He was incredible. Charlie's freaking amazing. Our kids love him. Everyone around here loves him. The crowd that was there, everybody was so happy and fun and having such a good time. And it's the kind of people that he drew. And for it to turn into what it did is just sad.
Haley, what do you remember seeing or hearing when you were there with your husband?
I just remember the pop and everyone looking around, questioning the same question. And I was questioning if that could have been a real gun. Kind of sounded like a louder version of a pop gun. And then there was like a more military stature looking man in front of us. And he was pushing people down saying, everyone get down. That's a gunshot.
How did this man
and then the next thing you know is you're just trying to look for your exits. And he's saying to stay down, but do you run? Do you stay down? Do you crawl? You don't know what to do.
Yeah, it's terrifying. I'm sorry you guys had to go through that today when you just went to go, hear somebody speak. When the gunshot rang out, they're saying it was from 200 yards away, which is pretty far away in a different building. For people that aren't familiar from where this happened, the place where they're saying the shot came from, is that somebody where they could have sort of been hidden, maybe incognito or just sort of covered and then gotten a shot off? Because I asked you this because they're still looking for the suspect. Initially, they thought they had a suspect, but now they're still looking for a suspect.
So there's like a causeway, like a walkway from building to building, and there was a lot of people up top. And that would be where somebody probably could have been. It sounded in that area. And I don't see how anyone in the crowd, everyone was shoulder to shoulder. I don't see how anyone would get away in a group like that if it was in the crowd. So to me, it sounded about 60 feet away. I instantly looked to where I thought it was, and it was, I would say, about 60 feet in about the more top area, but middle of the crowd. And I didn't think it came from up top, but with knowing that he hasn't been caught yet, he had to have been hiding.
We're living in some sort of very violent times, whether it be mass shootings or these political assassinations and assassination attempts. Did you guys know what you were witnessing when it happened, or was it all just so strange?
Yeah, I think we knew instantly because everyone around us kind of stopped, looked at each other, wondered if it was real, and then dropped to the ground. And we kind of talked about it on our way there, that he's super brave to not have like a bulletproof glass in front of him. And not in Utah. No way. Utah's respectful. Like that would never happen.
So you even acknowledge that. That's incredible that you guys acknowledge that, because you thought, hey, what can happen the times that we're living in? And he's out there speaking to these people, and then this happens.
Want to go in the way they think.
We didn't think that not in a million years it would happen, let alone in Utah.
It's not that important for me to come and take your life over some disagreement. I understand people, man.
It's very sad. It's angering. We've got to come together and love each other and listen to each other. Like Charlie, he never yelled at anyone in anger or made them try and believe his opinions and his facts. He challenges people to listen and learn. That's what we need to do.
Haley and Taylor, we thank you for talking to us. And again, I'm sorry you had to witness that today. I want to bring in our national law enforcement intelligence correspondent, Tom Winter. Tom, rightly so, when we were reporting this out, we mentioned that there was a person in custody, that the school had said there was someone in custody. There were social media videos of somebody that was being handcuffed. NBC did not put that image out because we had not verified it. Now it turns out that the suspect is still on the run. What do we know?
That's right, Tom. And in case anybody's seen those photos online of somebody apparently put into handcuffs following the event, that is a person that, according to the university, is not the suspect and is not has not been arrested in connection with this incident. It is not uncommon, and you know, I mentioned this to you right at the time. It is not uncommon in these incidents when you see the people fleeing there that we're looking at on screen. In order for people to be put into custody, if somebody says, I think that person did it, that somebody might make a statement, might say something. And so that's something where it is not uncommon to, like I said, see somebody be placed into custody. We've seen that with other shooting incidents, other attacks, and then it turns out that that person had no connection to the event. As far as where the investigation stands now, we have been reaching out to the FBI and law enforcement officials in Utah. Still no confirmed information from them as far as who they might be looking for. The governor of Utah, Spencer Cox, putting out a statement just a while ago saying he just got off the phone with President Trump and working with the FBI and Utah law enforcement. They're looking forward to bringing to justice the individual responsible for this tragedy, adding that he was obviously heartbroken and his concern for Charlie Kirk's family. This investigation now still hoping to get a briefing, perhaps as soon as 6 p.m. Eastern time tonight from officials, though that has not yet been confirmed by them. As far as who, if they know who they are looking for. The university also initially put out that this shooting happened approximately 200 yards from the scene. You're looking at the tent there. You're looking at the courtyard where this took place. Whether or not that is the exact distance or not, they would obviously need to confirm with shell casing or a weapon that was left behind, or video that person was there. We've been showing videos throughout the afternoon here, Tom, of this incident, and is typically the case whenever there is a shooting incident, certainly that involves a fatality. We don't show that moment of the shot being hit just out of respect for the individual, but also, you know, these things tend to inflame and incite these types of incidents in the future, and certainly don't want to contribute to what the shooter tried to do this afternoon. The incident, as we saw the video of the injuries, you described them several moments ago. They appeared to be grave from the onset. Obviously, we now know Kirk was not able to survive this incident. The investigation, as far as what will happen in Utah, they'll obviously focus on the video. We know that from how many times we show surveillance video after these incidents occur. They'll also look for any sort of license plate reader technology if they have an idea of what vehicle might have been left behind, or a vehicle that they're searching for. They can see where that vehicle might have been on interstates or on roads or in towns. That information is vital. That's been incredibly helpful. We've seen so many instances just in the last 6 to 9 months. I'm thinking of a person who set their Tesla on fire at the base of the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas earlier this year. That case was, as far as where that person came from in their background, license plate readers were so critical to finding out that information, and that'll be potentially helpful here if they can get a face on this person.
and get
certainly
away with
they
security
can use facial
and policemen
recognition to
around
be
that
able to
event.
try and determine who this person is. Taking a step back here, yesterday I was at a gathering of law enforcement experts and officials as part of 9/11 Voices and the Voices Center for Resilience, their 9/11 family, and they have a gathering typically around this time each year. You think of the enormity, Tom, of the security issues that we had following 9/11, which is, of course, tomorrow. It'll be the 24th anniversary of that, what this country had to do to secure itself. Now you're looking at a situation that could be more difficult from a standpoint of resources. If we're going to start having these targeted violent incidents involving corporations, involving CEOs, involving high-profile people like Kirk, you're going to be in a situation here from a funding standpoint, from the amount of officers that you have available, the amount of weapons that you have in an event. Remember, even if nobody is allowed to bring a gun into an event, you have guns there by default because you have law enforcement there. So obviously that's always something that law enforcement considers in deploying this. Tomorrow, as I mentioned, 9/11, we have the vice president in New York City for the ceremony at Ground Zero. There's other travel throughout the day, including involving President Trump. And we have the United Nations General Assembly coming up in just a couple of weeks' time here in New York City. Already everybody on edge as far as protecting these political figures. And now, as we've seen this expand to other individuals in the political space, but also in the commercial space, this is a real challenge here going forward. And I don't think people really understand, perhaps just yet, the frequency and tempo that has been alarmingly increasing here over the last 9 months. And is a situation, Tom, that I could tell you because I've been talking to them since shortly after this incident happened. Everybody in law enforcement who focuses on these types of things has been immediately paying attention to this incident because of what we've seen. And I think everybody is very concerned at this hour.
All right, Tom Winter, we thank you for that. If we still have Jim Kavanaugh here, Jim, I do want to ask you a question about this manhunt. It has been a couple of hours now. There's no suspect in custody just yet, but it is still early. That the gunman was able to get away in sort of the pandemonium after the assassination. How hard is it now for investigators?
Well, it's tough, Thomas. A sniper attack, an assassin with a rifle uses that rifle. There's two reasons. One is he can't get close enough to his target. Like, for example, someone protected by the Secret Service or the Diplomatic Security Service. He can't get close enough.
I'm really concerned.
The second is he really wants to escape. So when you are familiar with assassins and snipers, this is how they think.
Even some of the people like Myron.
This shot, I watched that video of Mr. Kirk being wounded over and over again.
That disgruntled that
he's wounded in the left front of his neck
and do something like this.
It looks like maybe a hunting rifle, a 30-06, a 308 rifle. It's a large wound, immediately a large loss of blood. And he's in a bowl. I mean, his tent for his speaking arrangement is in a bowl. There's grass steps. You can see the people on your shot there as it elevates up. And if the assassin is in a position on the building, even one floor above that grassy section, he has a shot right down into the bowl. And when you're on an elevated shot with a rifle, and it's probably a scope, that's really not that difficult a shot. You don't have to be any kind of a trained sniper. And the person can get in and egress. There's no robust security here. Get into the site and maybe shoot from a window or a roof or a hidden nook and break the rifle in half, put it in a duffel bag, and escape. So what I'd be looking for here, Tom, is a rifle recovered? Because there may be no rifle recovered. Is there a cartridge recovered? There may be no cartridge recovered. If he fires from a bolt-action rifle, the cartridge does not even eject. So once he folds the rifle down, he can escape. So the fact that they don't have someone in custody now makes me believe that the sniper planned his egress. And if you think about snipers past in the history, and I've worked on a number of sniper cases, but look at Lee Harvey Oswald. He planned his escape. He got out of the building, just luckily, and because he was confronted in the building by a motor cop at gunpoint, but he got out of it with the superintendent, and he made his way to his neighborhood where he killed a Dallas policeman, J.D. Tippit. James Earl Ray fired from a bathroom of a boarding house across the street from the Lorraine Motel when he killed Dr. King with a rifle as well. And he escaped. So snipers want to escape. They want to get away. And with no robust security there, he could have got into a bathroom window, top of a roof, and like I say, a nook, and he had a shot on Mr. Kirk. That shot, when you look at the overall scene, Tom, from an aerial shot, if you look to the left of the tent, you will see there's a lot of portions of the elevated building there, which is not a long shot. You know, we're talking 200 yards, could be 150 yards, could be 220 yards. But with a deer rifle setup, a scope, is one shot. That was his purpose, and he made his escape. So if there's no rifle and no cartridge, you're relying on the video of the campus, you know, anything that might have been nearby, any witnesses. That's what's going to be critical today.
And local law enforcement and now the FBI, we know, are going to be on scene trying to hunt down this gunman. I do want to bring in Meet the Press moderator, Kristen Welker. Kristen, I understand you just spoke to the White House about what had happened to Charlie Kirk, about this assassination, this horrific event that has happened on the campus of an American university. So, Kristen, what is the White House saying? Because Charlie Kirk had such a close relationship with both President Trump, the vice president, and the Trump children.
Well, you're absolutely right, Tom. And that's basically what this White House official said. Everyone there is in a state of relationship with Charlie Kirk, and they just cannot believe that this has actually happened, that his life has been taken. He is a young father. As you were discussing with Hogan Gidley, they were all so impressed and energized by him. And so they are just in a state of shock. And now at the White House, and of course, the reaction is bipartisan, Tom. Let me read you some of what we're hearing from Gabby Giffords, of course, a victim of political violence herself, writing, "The murder of Charlie Kirk breaks my heart. My deepest sympathies are with his wife, 2 young children, and friends. Democratic societies will always have political disagreements, but we must never allow America to become a country that confronts those disagreements with violence. Attacks against political or ideological opponents are cowardly and un-American and must be universally condemned." And Tom, that's basically the sentiment that we are hearing from Democrats and Republicans. House Speaker Mike Johnson saying simply, this has to end, calling for a moment of silence. The question, though, and you were discussing this with Kelly O'Donnell earlier, is what happens now? What can lawmakers do? What can we all do as a society to prevent these acts of political violence? Because they are increasing. The fact that you had these assassination attempts against President Trump when he was running for office, the fact that you have these assassinations of lawmakers in Minnesota has just rocked the political world. And what we are hearing is enough is enough. And you can see the grief, you can see the shock and the anguish in the face of these lawmakers. But the question, Tom, what comes next? What will they do about it?
Now they're going to try to make this about,
given how sharply divided this country is. But I do think that that's where the conversation is going to go next.
Kristen, it also sort of changes how politicians and people like Charlie Kirk will share their message. Yes, there is social media. Yes, there are the airwaves. You can broadcast whatever you want these days. But part of politics is being able to press the flesh, being able to see into someone's eyes, being able to hear them up close. That's what campaigns are really all about. It's one of the strengths many people will say that President Trump had, right? In all 3 of his campaigns, he was out there campaigning a lot. And one of Charlie Kirk's strengths to his supporters was that he would go out there, he would debate anyone, but he would take the message across college campuses all over America. And the thing I keep coming back to is that if somebody like Charlie Kirk, who again had a huge platform, but never ran for office, he wasn't elected, if he could become the target of some sick, deranged individual,
they knew
right?
that,
what does that say about
Charlie
everybody else out there that is working in politics right now, that is trying to do something, that is trying to make a change? And how will this change the way people campaign or speak in public?
Well, Tom, it could have a real chilling effect. And I think you bring up a critical point, which is that as you were speaking with the couple earlier there who were at the rally, who witnessed this horrific incident, he did not have a bulletproof glass in front of him. Will that change? Remember, that did change for President Trump when he was campaigning in this last cycle after the assassination attempts against him. So security will undoubtedly be in focus. But you're right, this is a hallmark of our democracy. The ability to debate, to have these robust discussions. And Charlie Kirk liked to be in the center of it. That's why he was someone who was respected by Democrats and Republicans. Tom, you had Governor Gavin Newsom appear on his podcast. And so the question becomes, how can these political events move forward in a more secure, safer way? And there you see the flag lowered at half-staff at the White House, a really somber day in Washington and Utah and all across the country, Tom.
Yeah, the president ordering that right there. You can see the flag at half-staff. We also have a new statement from Turning Point USA. I want to put it up on the screen for our viewers here. It reads, "It is with a heavy heart that we confirm that Charles James Kirk has been murdered by a gunshot that took place during Turning Point USA's The American Comeback Tour campus event at Utah Valley University on September 10th, 2025. May he be received into the merciful arms of our loving Savior who suffered and died for Charlie. We ask that everyone keep his family and loved ones in your prayers. We ask that you please respect their privacy and dignity in this time." A very powerful statement there from Turning Point USA. Tom Winter, I understand, has some new reporting, our national law enforcement and intelligence correspondent. We've been talking about what we know and what we don't know. Initially, there was a suspect in custody. Then the school came back and said, no, we don't have a suspect in custody, but we think the shot came from 200 yards away, which is a good distance. There were thousands of people in the crowd, and they identified the building in the back where they think the shot came from. What else do we know, Tom?
It is a good distance, Tom, but as our colleague Jim Kavanaugh pointed out, I think very accurately so, for somebody who has even just a basic understanding of a semi-automatic rifle, this would not have been a particularly difficult shot to make, and it underscores obviously the tragedy of it. Obviously, Kirk didn't see it coming. He did appear to have some security near him on stage, but this would have required what appears to be kind of more of a response that we would see at a Secret Service event, where you would have locked down the entire area, had high-angle snipers, and would have had to put up a perimeter which would have prohibited weapons from inside of it in order to be able to handle this. They said that the shots may have come from the Low C Center. That might in fact be true. There was a tent up which would have made it difficult to see Kirk. So without knowing that angle specifically, that might raise questions as far as if that's actually where the shot came from. But assuming the initial information is true, as I mentioned, it would not have been a difficult shot for whoever did this. Clearly did it in a way not to be initially detected, as Jim alluded to, and is now somebody who, as of last reports, appears to be on the run. As you can imagine, I keep glancing down because our phones are constantly buzzing here as we're tracking down various pieces of information and trying to corroborate information. But our latest reporting is that there is not an individual in custody, that law enforcement is still looking for somebody. This is going to be Utah law enforcement investigation first. Certainly could have a federal nexus. The FBI, according to its director, Kash Patel, is on scene, Tom.
Yeah, Tom, before you go, it was a good point. If we bring that map back up, the point you make about where this gunman may or may not have been, because if they were up on that roof, they would have been at an elevated point. Remember, the amphitheater was sunk down and they had that tent. So, of course, they're going to be investigating this center as well, looking exactly where the gunman was posted and how they got away. And you got to think this area likely might not have been canvassed because Charlie was not an elected official. He was somebody who was coming there to talk. All right, Tom, thank you for that. This concludes this NBC News special report. We're going to come back on the air again when officials in Utah hold a news conference. We'll have more ahead tonight, of course, on Nightly News. I'm Tom Llamas. We thank you for watching.
Sick.
A spokesperson saying Kirk was, quote, murdered by a gunshot at Utah Valley University. We ask that everyone keep his family and loved ones in your prayers, and we ask that you please respect their privacy and dignity in this time.
We're also seeing statements come out, one from the Utah Commissioner of Higher Education. Of course, this happened on a college campus. So just, again, re-emphasizing that there's no place for violence on college campus and condemning that. We also saw a statement from the Utah Chiefs of Police talking about this outdoor event, that his death was confirmed and that they are united against violence in all forms, free speech and respectful political discourse are vital to ensure the health and vitality of our democracy. And I'm sure we will see many of these kinds of statements come out today as people process and take inventory of all that's happened today.
And Daniel Woodruff, he's been kind of getting a sense of that as he's been talking to people there at UVU campus. And I know your focus right now, Daniel, is the heavy police presence there. You were kind of painting a picture of what you were seeing as far as police and tactical gear.
Yeah, we've seen police. In fact, a little bit earlier on our air live, you saw some officers escorting a group of women out of the building that's just to the south of where the shooting took place. The shooting happened right behind me here on the west side of the campus. And I went over and I talked to the women. They didn't want to speak on camera, but they told me that they had been sheltering in place for several hours. UVU had put out a phone number for people here on campus to call if they needed a police escort. And so police went and escorted them to their cars. This campus evacuation literally is still going on then, because the shooting, according to UVU, happened about 12:10. We're now about 3:30, and so people are still leaving campus, individuals who had been sheltering in place for the last couple of hours. As I spoke to the women, I asked them if they wanted to say anything. They didn't want to, again, speak on camera, but they just said it's incredibly sad. They wanted to get to their families and talk about that they are okay and they are safe, but they said their office overlooks the plaza where Charlie Kirk was shot, and as we now know, he died from those injuries. And they said it was a loud gunshot. They heard it very clearly, and the mayhem that ensued as people ran off of the campus after UVU told everyone to leave, and of course after people heard the shots. So we're continuing to look over from the west here to the area where the shooting happened. A lot of people's personal belongings are still there, and we see police officers right now walking around that area. I see at least one uniformed officer. I see another plain clothes. I don't know what agency they're from, but this is in pretty plain view of the west side of campus, and his speech today, his event, where he took questions and answered them from the audience, was in plain sight. It was an outdoor event. We've actually heard from some students today who spoke with us earlier who said they were very critical of the fact that there was basically no security here, that anyone could walk in, anyone with a backpack, you didn't know what was inside. They wondered why there were no security checks of any kind prior to Charlie Kirk's event getting underway, and it didn't take very long through the event because he was only, as I understand, on his second question for the shooting to happen. The somber mood here on campus is notable. I know we have a lot of police presence, but we've seen people here not leave campus. I know UVU's been asking people to leave. There was a group over by the trees there a little bit ago. They've since left. And one of our photojournalists approached them after we learned that Charlie Kirk had passed away, and they were crying. They didn't want to speak with us about it, but this is a very somber mood here on campus as the gravity of what's happened is sinking in. That Charlie Kirk was shot in open air here on a public university, a state university campus, and ultimately died from his injuries. And we've talked with people today who were excited to hear from him, and they were here early. They got good seats. They were up front, and they saw him get shot, they tell me, in the neck, and just the mayhem and chaos that ensued after that. So as we are here on the west part of campus, other than that, it is fairly quiet. We see occasional law enforcement presence walking through. Again, we see occasional law enforcement presence in the area where the shooting actually happened, and a lot of law enforcement over to our south, where we've already had reports from Dan Rascone and Mike Hedrick. But that's kind of the
watched you. When people disagreed with you on the campaign trail, you opened your door to them. You walked over to them in friendship. You extended a hand. You wanted to hear them out. You were kind. You were loving. You were gentle. That, like, what a model, Vivek. You know, it's so hard to do when we're so divided and we're so angry at each other over these issues, which are important. And when you are subjected to as many negative press pieces and people harassing you on the campaign trail, it's even harder to find that within you. But you're kind of leading by example these days.
Well, one of the few people I was able to do it with was Charlie. I mean, we traveled the entire country, kind of tag teaming. We each had our own style, it was slightly different, but it was more fun that way. And we would, we're kind of stylistic tag team around the country, talking to these young young Americans and these young patriots, and many of whom disagreed with us. And he and I mean, we would, ride a car together, take a walk together, ride a plane together, and we'd joke around about, different interactions. And, there's one case, he still was one of his favorite people coming out of, I forget which campus we were on. It was somewhere in Pennsylvania, and, it was some girl with dyed hair who was screaming at him, who he still loved the interaction that he had with her. He was able to joke around about it and still care about having one country left at the end of it. And, there weren't that many of us. There aren't that many of us, Megan, who are willing to do that. And I think we lost one of our greats today. And as sad as I am for Charlie, I'm even sadder for his family, and I'm sadder still for our country, that this is where we are. And I don't think that we can just, say the usual pieties and then move on and behave the same way tomorrow. I think there's going to be, I feel it right now. I feel it. I mean, there's a choice in how we react to this. And, there's a side of me, most of me now, that's
so
furious, that's angry.
Yep.
But I think that there's also an element in all of us that hopes that we're just done with this.
Going forward,
we're moving on
really
past this dark chapter in our history. We've gone like, what, a 12-and-a-half-month period now? 12-month period where we've had 2 assassination attempts on a president. Now we're taking out one of the most important figures in the political youth movement, let alone in the conservative movement. Enough. We're done with this. And I do think that we would be justified, perhaps, in a short-term sense, in
what's going on, baby cakes?
Adopting the kind of rhetoric that Charlie was himself the subject of, that who knows what the circumstances here, we don't have the facts, but you could imagine at least would motivate someone to act in a horrific way. But, I think the best of what Charlie was trying to do and the best of what I hope we can do for our country aspires to more than just fighting, fire with fire. I hope we can fight fire with water, which might be the harder thing to do.
Yeah, well said. I mean, you talk about what a consequential figure he became. I'm just watching my producer text chain here, which has got all the latest news. Joe Biden has weighed in. Donald Trump has weighed in. Donald Trump has ordered the flags to half-staff in memoriam of Charlie. I mean, I don't remember the last time. And here's a picture of the White House flag atop the White House at half-staff now. By orders of the president, we'll be lowering ours momentarily. I don't remember the last time we've done that for a civilian, not a world leader. He'll do it sometimes in the wake of mass shootings, but for an individual, it's, I think, rare. Barack Obama, too, now weighing in as follows. We don't yet know what motivated the person who shot and killed Charlie Kirk, but this kind of despicable violence has no place in our democracy. Michelle and I will be praying for Charlie's family tonight, especially his wife, Erica, and their 2 young children. That's what we need. I say bravo to Barack Obama and to Joe Biden and to Donald Trump, who understand, Vivek, in these moments, there's something bigger happening. There's something really profound afoot today that's more than partisan bickering, even though we're angry, even though we want vengeance against the man who did it. Like, the truly good, like in our hearts and our souls, good Americans have to unite in standing against this sort of political violence. Even if we're going to fight about the political issues the very next day, those people who understand how vile this is and who are able to check their politics.
Right, yeah, and that's not the first time we've heard that today. Many people said that was kind of the topic of discussion moments before he was shot. But as you can see there, we have heard that there will be a vigil for Charlie Kirk at the Utah State Capitol Rotunda tonight at 7 p.m., and that will be hosted by members of the Utah House of Representatives.
All right, so hearing from folks from all over who were there at this event, largely hearing from folks who support Charlie Kirk, because that's who showed up to be a
and hold hands in solidarity against this must do it. And that's why I accept those hands of friendship.
That's who we are.
Stand with
them.
Who
we are. That's who we are as a people. It's who we've been. We've lost our way, but it doesn't have to stay that way. And I would never wish for a tragedy like this to be what's required to wake us up. But
lost like for words.
If a tragedy, and for me, it's not just a national tragedy, it's a loss of a friend and somebody who's just personally really dear to me. Let something come for the country that he fought for. And he wasn't just a civilian, he was more than that. And I think we can honor him, and we can honor, honestly, our country, the truth of our country, as opposed to this alternative, bastardized version of it that we've suffered for this short period of our history we've been in. We can revive our true country by being a place where, yeah, look, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Donald Trump, yourself, myself, and everyone in between can agree that we're a place where we respect life, where we respect the lives and the dignity of our fellow citizens and our neighbors, that we can disagree like hell at times and still, ideally, we'll get together at the dinner table at the end of it and call ourselves still citizens of the greatest nation known to the history of mankind. That's who we are. That's what Charlie Kirk saw. And I hope that is what his life and now tragically his death can cause us to pause and remember and revive. And that's the best we can do today. So anyway, Megan, thanks for doing what you're doing. And I know it's not easy for you either. I tried to resist your
you said, I'm not sure I can do it. I said, none of us are doing well. Like we're all letting it hang out. So thank you for joining. I know it's a challenge and I really appreciate it, Vivek. All my love to you.
Take care. Thank you, Megan.
You know, one of the things I loved about Charlie, in addition to everything else that we've discussed, was that he was more than just somebody who would comment, still getting used to the past tense, on the news and, articulate his viewpoints and my own, for that matter, on so many issues so effectively and compellingly. But he also wasn't afraid to talk about life and relationships and a man and a woman and how to be a good dad, like all those things. He knew that his viewpoints were important, that his opinions on those things mattered to young people listening to him. And he did not waste that opportunity. When he was on, was it
dishes before a woman paid for it?
I split the check quite a lot.
So I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you. You guys are great. That's incomprehensible to me. I think that's...
To me, I thought it was a great financial decision.
So from your prism, I totally get that. And you have really good financial discipline. I'm sorry. I would be so humiliated if I find that to be the greatest beta male, humiliation.
To save money?
To the idea that a woman that you're trying to court. Now, if it's a friend thing
as a first date.
Melania, and my sympathies go out to his beautiful wife, Erica, family. Charlie, we love you. So obviously an unfortunate finality to this as the shooting transpiring at Utah Valley University. And I just want to put up just some of these scenes one more time of the suspect still very much at large, that according to the university right now. But President Trump saying on social media that Charlie Kirk, the conservative commentator, is dead. An unfortunate moment here in time as we were talking about the political violence that continues to be heightened.
Decided to go watch Charlie Kirk between my classes, so.
My name is Paris. I just wanted to come and watch what I thought would be a civil conversation, and it turned completely different.
What did you see?
I looked down when it happened, but...
So basically, I heard a loud bang, which I figured a shot would be a little bit louder, but I just saw it hit him in the chest, and then all of a sudden just tons of blood gushing right out where his heart is, and then he like fell over and slumped down, and everybody got down and was screaming, and then we all ran.
Can you describe just, did he appear to be moving afterward or what?
Not at all. I personally believe he was dead on impact.
Oh my goodness. What happened after that? What did you see?
Everyone got down. Everyone was so scared, and I just grabbed her, and my boss was with us, which is her mom. She was like, run, and we finally got up and followed the crowd, and I just kept holding her. I don't even have my shoes on. I left my keys, and everyone's just like scared. Like it's traumatizing. Like, you know, it scares. Like I don't even want to go to school tomorrow. You know,
Yeah.
So
I agree with that statement.
Yeah, I'm scared to go to school, but.
You heard the one shot. Were there multiple shots or?
Just one shot straight into Charlie Kirk, and that was it. And I think they got him.
And did you see the person who fired the shot or anything like that?
No, I just knew that it came to the right of me and went just directly into his heart.
I did. I got a picture of him.
Did you? What did you see as far as? I mean, was the crowd? How was the crowd reacting to him? I mean, he is somewhat known for being provocative, but what was going on beforehand? What was he talking about?
So the first student got up and they were talking about religion, Mormonism, and Christianity, and the second student to get up was talking about transgenderism and how gun violence has been very frequent with that community, and that is when it happened. Pretty ironic.
Right after, during, right on that topic.
Yeah, it's when he got shot in the heart.
Yeah.
What did you all see? You're joining us. What did you see?
Well, I was about to enter the building. I heard what I thought was a gunshot, and I hurried and took cover. And then I saw the students running out, and I saw her. She was panicking. I thought she was having a panic attack. So then I grabbed her, and we ran through the tunnel, and then just brought her to my car over here to get her to calm down. So, yeah.
You?
I was watching from pretty close up, and I heard a pop, and I thought, no, that nobody's shooting firecrackers, right? This is the middle of the day. And then I watched a fountain of blood come out of the side of his neck like a water fountain. And it was surreal. Everyone dropped, and I was like, where's the gunman? I don't see any gunman. And then I dropped, because I'm just a very logical thinker like that. And so, and then a friend of mine drove me over here, just barely dropped me off, but he got a picture of the gunman, and it's pretty embarrassing. He got his pants pulled down as they took him down, and he sent me a picture. He was wearing garment bottoms, or what looked like white knee shorts. Just, Utah.
Obviously a volatile situation, and what was the crowd's reaction when all of this happened? You said you were up, you were standing there, a little frozen, it sounds like. What was the crowd's reaction?
Everyone freaked out and screamed, and then after everyone was leaving, there was just a lot of confusion until the cops started making everyone leave, because people were still standing around and talking and in clusters, but the majority had run. And so, after that, the police forced everyone in, and they started roping off the courtyard in yellow police tape. And then as we were walking through the hall, policemen with the campus was being shut down.
What did you see with the police? Was there a police presence there from the beginning? How did it unfold?
Yeah, so there definitely was a police presence there. I saw some on top of the balcony above, and some below. And of course, you have Kirk's own kind of bodyguards around. But I will definitely say we saw a lot more after the shooting, of course.
Of course. You said you may have seen something?
Well, I'm just saying Charlie Kirk is a hero. All right.
He is. Absolutely.
Pray
He's
for
absolutely
him.
hero.
We don't know if
he's still
everybody in there was very concerned for him. And all I could think of was go towards Charlie, because I just want to know if he was okay. A lot of people like him. He's a very courageous man.
What did you see? Can you just recap what you saw?
Yeah, I saw him just go over to the side. So everybody then dispersed and ran into the buildings or all over. But So I went toward Charlie, and then pretty soon they got somebody. The police arrested someone. They were dragging him all the way down. Older man, white hair, blue shirt. You know, so I hope that was him. I hope they got him.
No, it wasn't him.
And you all are physically okay? I mean, I know what you experienced was certainly very traumatic, but you're physically unharmed?
Yeah, the man who, after they took him down, he yelled, "I'd do it again."
That's what I'm saying. So I don't feel like he was just.
All right, we're going to send it back to you. We'll continue to talk to people who witnessed this and update you as we get more information.
To be a peacemaker. And so I think everybody is just very shaken here on campus and throughout the world, knowing that this is the message that he disseminates to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It again was his 101st birthday yesterday, and we're coming up on another conference in October, and I'm sure that line of thought is going to continue. Now, I'm here with 3 young men. They came to see Charlie Kirk, and the turn for the worse.
See what's this talking about this.
Well, we often don't think of it, but conservatism in the United States has often been a youth movement. The conservative movement of Ronald
Really don't like
Reagan
to listen to
really
CBS and
started on
CNN.
college campuses in the 19.
Because we are getting new reporting in right now from the president about Charlie Kirk, as this was actually a fatal shooting coming down right now on Truth Social from the president of the United States, saying the great, even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. No one understood or had the heart of the youth in the United States of America better than Charlie. He was loved and admired by all, especially me, and now he is no longer with us. Melania, and my sympathies go out to his beautiful wife, Erica, family. Charlie, we love you. So obviously an unfortunate finality to this as the shooting transpiring at Utah Valley University. I just want.
Yes, man. You don't even think about stuff like this that comes out like left field, especially happening to somebody like him. Like, you expect people that's in the streets to one day run to somebody else in the streets, but you don't expect a person that's simply sharing their views and having an open dialogue to go out like that. You don't expect that.
White Ford pickup truck. Those are vehicles from the
You
police
really
department.
don't
In fact,
expect that.
we
That's
just
crazy.
saw a Spanish Fork police officer in his full gear take off. It appears as if a lot of the officers that were in searching those buildings, clearing those classrooms, and clearing those offices have been released from.
This is, brother, this is almost on the same scale going to end up being a big, just like the JFK assassination, like the way that this happened.
They all are. They've seen officers kind of going in every
And
direction.
let me guess, they're not going to find anybody. All this technology that they got, all those police officers that was around there, all the security, they're not going to be able to find out who it was.
Hunkered down until officers were able to get them out. We've seen that, so we did talk to those people just a few moments ago. But I want to go back to when we first arrived on campus. This was maybe 5 or 6 minutes after we first arrived on campus, about 45 minutes after the shooting had taken place to an hour after the shooting had taken place. We interviewed a group of people who were in the second row of hearing Charlie Kirk speaking. And I want to play the sound from one emotional woman who really was struggling to wrap her head around what happened, as we all are today. So I want to listen to that as one of the most emotional parts of our coverage out here today.
So I was with my brother and his best friend Ethan. I just thought it was gonna be like a fun event, and you know, you see Charlie Kirk all over social media, and man, just you hear the pop, and then you just see like hit his chest, and then just blood squirted out of him all over the table, and then he just fell over, and I just
So she's the second person that said it hit his chest, so maybe that angle just made it look like it was his neck.
At first, 'cause that just wasn't my reaction, and then my brother pulled me down, and he put his body on top of me, and then Ethan came and put his body on top of me, and everything just happened so fast, and everyone was running and screaming, saying get down, and I just it just didn't feel real in the moment, especially like the blood. I'm still really shaken up. I mean, it happened like 40 minutes ago.
Yeah, those are emotional words. I think there are so many students on the campus of Utah Valley University that are feeling that way today, that were in attendance, that saw what happened. And a lot of them were there to either hear somebody who agreed with them, disagreed with them, for that civic discourse that has now turned into incredible tragedy. Several of the individuals we've spoken to, it's hard. They're feeling like it's hard to wrap their mind around what happened. We're hearing stories of people running in every direction. Unfortunately, we're also hearing about students who got trampled in the exit of this event. Several people, showed us all their scrapes on their knees, and that their backs.
Like what got to
dirty,
be going through your mind
either pushed
to
out
say
of the
that
way and
I'm gonna go out of my
fell
way
to
to
the
find
ground.
it? But you
also
see, in
hearing
a
and
situation like that,
woman that you just heard
you're not
from
just
first,
walking
that told
around
us a
with
story about,
an assault
the
rifle or a
two people that she
sniper
was with actually
trying to
covered
find
her,
a perfect
instinctually
position
went to cover her.
to
Her
take
brother,
that shot.
kind of made a
You
human
have to
shield
already
over
been
her,
there
and the other
saying, okay,
man
this
that
is
she
going to
was
be the
with,
spot I'm going to be at. But not only that, you got to have knowledge of where Charlie is going to be. Because I don't imagine a person just walking around, possibly holding a case or a backpack with a disassembled sniper, and around all these people, all this way of being recognized, and then pulling that off like right there. Like, no, something don't seem right about that one.
Of what happened here.
That's right, they are. Thank you, Spencer. And I do
Yeah,
want to
something
share
don't
the
seem right.
latest tweet or comment on X from Governor Cox. He says, I have ordered the flags of the United States of America and the great state of Utah to be flown at half staff. So earlier we heard from our Scripps reporter, Haley Bull, about how President Trump had ordered them to fly at half staff. Now, Governor Cox doing the same thing here until Sunday.
I hope his
September
movement
14th.
gets like 10 times bigger
And
now.
I believe we're going to go to Maithili Gooby briefly. Maithili, we may have to break away from you if that press conference begins while we're talking, although a press conference starting right on time is an unusual event. So let's go to you. You're there at the hospital. Which hospital?
Max, I'm at Timpanogos Regional Hospital in Orem. Now, we don't know if this is where Charlie Kirk was brought to by first responders after that shooting at UV earlier today, but we're just here in case there is activity here, which there is. We've seen a lot of police cars going in and out. There's Utah Highway Patrol, Provo Police, Orem Police, other departments across Utah County here, and even this crime scene tape that you're kind of seeing right now all went up in the last few minutes. So we don't know what could be happening in this area. We are seeing a lot more police activity that is ramping up. You're hearing sirens every few minutes, so there is some sort of presence here, but we're not sure exactly what is happening. I do want to tell you about people that have been coming by, though. So you'll see people kind of walking around now with these American flags. We saw some people at the intersection that were just standing there holding signs. One said, "Pray for America," and some people wearing MAGA hats, but others just, here they say that even though they didn't agree with Charlie Kirk's beliefs and what he would say, they just don't think this should be happening in our country, that violence isn't the answer. They just want to kind of have more peaceful discourse like you and Robin were talking about earlier, Max, but just, hoping that we can all come together differently in this country at this moment in time. People that have been honking as they go by, cars with flags on them too. So a lot of community gathering here. People that I was talking to said that violence they just heard that this happened. They wanted to come out. They don't know if he is in fact at this hospital, but they're just here in case he is, or just to, show their support for more peace around all of us right now. So again, we don't know if this Timpanogos Regional Hospital is where first responders brought Charlie Kirk. We don't know any of those locations or those details right now, but we are here in case we do learn any more information. There's crime scene tape going up Police have been just increasing their presence around here. A lot of Utah County different agency cars and personnel out here controlling traffic, letting people know to get out of the roadways, that type of thing, and people just gathering, wanting to, express their support to Charlie's family, and just more peaceful discourse and agreements all around us now. So yeah, we have crews all over. We don't know if this in fact is where Charlie is, but we are here in case something does happen.
Man, it was something in me that was hoping that he would have pulled through on this.
For a little while longer. We'll keep an eye on what's going on, talking to people that have been coming out just about, their feelings, their thoughts. Even though they weren't there, this is it's hitting pretty close for a lot of people. It feels deeply personal, just that this happened right there in their own backyard. So we'll keep you updated with the latest details as we get them, but for now, we'll send it back to you guys.
Maithili, thank you so much for your reporting. We'll check back in with you later.
And we are monitoring that press conference. They do have things set up, but there's nobody there to give the conference just yet. We will get to it as soon as it begins, and likely even before, because we do have Ben Winslow there. But let's give a quick recap of what we know. It is the top of the hour, 4 o'clock. That was the scene. That was actually the scene as shared by Charlie Kirk's own media, own social media.
That's crazy, man. This man is leaving behind his young kids and family like that, man. That is
they're throwing out.
That's sad. People don't think, man, and I refuse to believe that this is just regular people doing this. I don't believe it.
Hit and killed Charlie Kirk.
I don't believe it's just regular. This is like coordinated, man. This is stuff that's been planned by people that has power in positions that we don't even understand yet. I don't see no regular person just doing that, like giving their whole life away just for them not agreeing with Charlie Kirk. Like, you're not going to be a martyr. Like, what are you doing? We're going to forget about who you were right after the trial concludes.
To work on the campus, and we don't know what's happened since then or if they found anything. But we've heard from a whole lot of witnesses who saw something extraordinarily traumatic, and so we are waiting for that press conference. There's, one thing that came to mind for me, Robin, as we were hearing folks talk about how political discourse has gotten and that sort of thing. I was a U.S. history major.
That's right.
And I do think that it's really important for us to remember we've been through a lot. And so when we talk about discourse being tough now, Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated in the same year as Robert F. Kennedy.
That's right.
And John Kennedy assassinated several years before that. The civil rights movement with Emmett Till and any number of people being assassinated. We've gone through President Reagan being shot. Our parents went through Vietnam and the Kent State shootings. And we've been through world wars. We have been through incredible divisive times in this country. And so this is very present, and we have phones and video everywhere, but it doesn't mean that now is worse than what we've been through and that we're not going to get through this and get to a better place.
Max, I was literally watching a video this morning where a history professor was saying the exact same thing.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely.
There we go.
Yes, yeah. we have been through a lot as a country.
I think Ben Winslow,
I think Ben Winslow is ready at that news conference. Don't know if it's started yet, but we are going to check in with Ben. Ben, what are you hearing and seeing there?
Well, we are waiting this news conference that is expected to begin very shortly. You can see, of course, flags behind me, the official state seal. Governor Spencer Cox is expected to speak to the crowd. We understand Utah Department of Public Safety Commissioner Bo Mason will also be speaking to us. It remains Val Peterson, who is the vice president of Utah Valley University, will also be speaking. The FBI is here, but we do not know at this point if they will be speaking or participating in this news conference. But this is where we will get our first official information about what exactly happened earlier today. Obviously, we've all seen the videos. We've heard from eyewitnesses.
Oh, no, here.
exactly. Looking around the room, I'm certainly seeing a lot of political staffers in the room, but what we are waiting for right now is the governor, the Department of Public Safety Commissioner, Utah Valley University representatives, and others. But we are waiting this news conference. It will happen, we are told, still very shortly. But again, we're waiting to see them actually walk into the room and begin this news conference.
And Ben, the last thing, we haven't gotten word officially about things for quite some time in terms of a suspect, in terms of the police presence, in terms of the school lockdown.
It's relatively easy.
We have to going into this news conference.
That's right. We still haven't gotten any word. We do know that, of course, the campus is under lockdown. It has been for most of the day, and it will be closed again tomorrow, we're told. But we're still waiting to see what exactly is the plan here, or what has transpired.
Certainly would have been a visible deterrent. It would have let people know that security was present. Now, we know that Kirk has his own security team, but this is not going to be a massive amount of people, resources, snipers on the roofs, for example, like we did have a sniper team. Unfortunately, it was too late. A year ago in Butler,
Sure.
The shooter fired off a shot. A man was killed, 2 others injured. But within seconds, that shooter was taken down by snipers. In this case, it appears that the shooter was able to flee. And we still don't know if that person has been apprehended.
Is there anything to read into this, that it was reportedly one single shot and at a distance that was the bullet that killed Charlie Kirk?
That appears to be a targeted attack, premeditation targeted attack. But I hesitate to read into any motive at this time. We just don't know. Without the identity of the suspect, without information gleaned from an interview, a sweep of that person's social media, interviews with coworkers, associates, other people that know the suspect, we can't say for sure. Now, we do know that this event was publicized, put out on social media, online.
And garnered some backlash, too.
That's right. So it was a controversial event. What Kirk has been doing, going to campuses across the country, is inviting people to come up and debate him. He enjoyed that kind of debate. And some of the things that he would say were very controversial. Now, he saw himself as sort of the voice of reason in the conservative party. He says he tried to dispel conspiracy theories, but the things that he was saying was also very controversial and would stir up a lot of response. He enjoyed being a provocateur on the platform X, for example. He didn't
that's why I hate
mind
listening to these people.
Attracting a lot of
it's not being a provocateur
dissent,
just by telling your beliefs and
and
your
he invited that
truth.
kind of debate.
I hate these
He
people when
also
they talk like
talked
that.
about the Second Amendment, and he talked about sort of the give and take. We have the Second Amendment, and in his words, we have to sort of accept that people are going to be shot and killed. It's this cruel irony in this tragic situation where he himself was the victim of apparently a targeted attack.
A tragic situation indeed. Anna Schechter, thank you very much for joining us with your insight.
Under Biden, our young people own nothing and they are miserable. Donald Trump refuses to accept this fake, pathetic, mutilated version of the American dream. When he was president, young people were richer than ever before, and he will do it again.
And that was Charlie Kirk there speaking at the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee last July. The Trump ally also spoke at the RNC back in 2020 during the president's first term in the White House. Joining us now with more on Charlie Kirk is CBS News senior White House and political correspondent Ed O'Keefe. Ed, thanks for being with us on this day. Help us take a step back and give us some perspective on Kirk's role in today's conservative movement. It is hard to understate the scope of his influence.
Yeah, especially among younger conservatives or younger Republican voters, or those at least that spend a lot of time online. Kirk began his Turning Point USA organization about 12 years ago when he was only about 18. And inspired by the Tea Party movement, built it from there. It now includes Turning Point USA, which is a more of a political arm, and then even Turning Point Faith, which is designed to organize among those that are more